And the Sixers doing a good job of keeping space and also knocking down a three.
Gary Trent Jr. Jumper doesn't go, and a slow start for the Raptors.
Philadelphia earlier this season, and Philly actually lost that game. Danny still said, it's yours post-game, not.
So they're coming out like that. They're coming out determined. They're coming out focused with intent. And the Raptors just have to match it.
Another good look. That is about to happen, more than likely. I mean, you can still, even if you get out of fourth, you could get to third. Embiid plus the foul, and the Raptors could end up in sixth. Could quite possibly be the MVP. Here's Trent Jr.
Not many people thinking that right
well,
now.
There's one. Here's Pascal Siakam. The three is good.
As a team, over close to 36, close to 37% from the field. So you have to defend the three ball.
Trent Jr. drills it.
So you just have to continue to stay disciplined, even when you're doing a helter-skelter type of defense. It's discipline behind that defense as well.
Third in the NBA, 23.8 attempts. Achua now out on the run. Trent Jr. attacks from the elbow. Yeah. See, he can go get it. They have cut it to 7, 33-26. Trent Jr. out on the wing, guarded by Harris. He'll fire the three, and it's good. And maybe it's one of those nights. 5-point game. Trent Jr. backing in over Maxey, short. Harden up top. Maxey makes a move. Harris quickly fires in the corner. Trent Jr. chance to tie. Here's Achua. And then Young gets it back. Here's Trent Jr. It worked out perfectly. Just the way you draw it up. Out with a thigh contusion, and Fred VanVleet is out as well this evening. And Maxey, 14.6 rebounds, 5 assists for Siakam. Achua's got a dozen. Barnes guarding Green. 2:25 remaining in the second quarter. Trent Jr. Jumper over Embiid. Shot doesn't go.
That those guys can really pass the ball because they're always attracting the most players, and somebody's open. They have to be willing to make a.
It's a great point. It's a part of Siakam's game that's really grown. And the shot doesn't go, tied at 56. Trent Jr. over now to Pascal. Raptors down by 7. Trent Jr. makes a move, pulls up, foul line Jay, banks it in. Wow, did he call it? Struggling to get this offense back on track, but the denial there. Here comes Pascal. And give it to Trent Jr. on the find from Siakam.
Do you see any James Worthy and Pascal Siakam?
Interesting comparison. And Boucher is holding his face. Pascal on a kick out. Trent Jr. the three. Good. And the switch. Achua guards him. Here's Harden. Love watching him. Pascal, you love watching him. He's got 11 points, 4 assists in the quarter. And there's a turnover. Trent Jr. with a slam dunk. And the Raptors lead by 3. Love watching him. Pascal, you love watching him. He's got 11 points, 4 assists in the quarter. And there's a turnover. Trent Jr. with a slam dunk. And the Raptors lead by 3. Up 87-85. Here's Trent Jr. Gets by Harris. Young on the inside, gathers, dribbles it out. Finds Achua. 10 on the clock. Over now. Here's Barnes. Lines it up and connects.
The Raptors should not allow him to get started against them.
32 years of age in his 13th season. 3-time NBA scoring champ. Trent Jr. hard off the back of the iron. Reed climbs up. He'll grab it. Barnes will bring it across the timeline, directing traffic. The 20-year-old sends it to Trent Jr. Back over to Scotty B. He's got
MVP candidate was on the bench.
16 turnovers by Philadelphia. Trent Jr. Middle of the floor, now fading. Good 10-point lead, largest of the game. Siakam up top. Pascal finds Trent Jr. to the bucket. Trent Jr. once again, 27. Siakam has 31 points, 8 rebounds, 10 assists. Pascal finds Trent Jr. sidestep. Here's a three, and it is right on time and target.